Thank you. We have next item is
much. And I just, again, we welcome PenAir, but I wish that we would have looked at all options. Mr. Kimbrough went on record tonight and said that all other options were exhausted. So, to the best of your knowledge, okay. All other options were exhausted. We spoke of an option Monday. We spoke of 2 or 3 today. I think Mr. Kimbrough even said some grant money possibly could be. Now, is that to the best of your knowledge, or is that? I mean, there might be some other funds out there, but there's more than just one option here. Well, and then you also said that the Chamber of Commerce was involved in this. Now, which officer of the Chamber was involved?
That is information that was provided to us. I have not had any direct communications with the Chamber.
I thought you said the Chamber was involved in this effort.
I'm repeating the information that was provided to us.
Now, who gave you that information?
I believe an official of PenAir in one of our discussions.
Official of PenAir?
Yes. Said that they are working with the Chamber to identify incentives that would be available, Florida incentives.
Right. Again, I just have I have heartburn going to the taxpayers. In my heart, I believe there was other options out there that we did not run to ground, and I truly believe that. And this is not about wanting or not wanting PenAir here. I want them here. I think everyone in front of you wants PenAir downtown. I don't think that's the issue. Again, it's about forgiving a loan. But I don't think that we have exhausted all options. And there's more than one. There's more than 2. There's several options. But you're telling me, to the best of your knowledge, that all other options have been exhausted.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'd like to thank my fellow council members for hearing my concerns and voting to discuss it. I want to make it very clear the DIB was not party to any contract information, so I believe some of the questions that Councilman Johnson is trying to have answered, I don't think the DIB could possibly answer. I applaud the mayor for going after this business with PenAir and to bring them downtown. What I am disappointed about is the lack of information supplied by the Chief of Staff. If it were a one-time instance, I wouldn't be so frustrated, but it is a pattern, and I think it shows a lack of respect for this council to be put in a position to make an economic development decision and essentially being shamed into it. The statement of the, are you willing to risk it for the $35,000, that is not the issue. I am on board with economic development. I want this city to grow. That's why I sit here. That's why I beautify Scenic Highway. That's why I care about the people on this dais. We work together to get this done. Again, I do not appreciate being put in this position of being questioned whether we support economic development because of dollars that I am trying to rationalize us for giving. I support the DIB, their efforts. If you look online, the downtown plan for parking, it is a multifaceted analysis was done by Urban Place Consulting, and they are right on track. This is a new kink that, quite honestly, the board was not comfortable with to begin with and had to find a way through this. So here we are on Monday with no information other than please forgive this loan, nothing about the incentive plan. That came at 1:30 today. Nothing about the financial impact of it. And the DIB was told by the Chief of Staff, you don't need to come, we've got it. We had no information, and now we sit here, and I will vote no tonight, not because I don't want PenAir in town, but because we weren't given the respect of adequate information. Thank you.
Well, before I go to Dr. Wu, I just want to tag on to what you're saying. I agree 100% with you. When I was being worked by the mayor's office the previous week, I couldn't give assurances on how I was going to vote. And I'll be bringing this up during new business about the order that we have our agenda in. And I hope you'll give me consideration on that. That may help solve some of this. But I was threatened by 2 different members from the 7th floor that if we did not support this, that we would end up in the newspaper as being, you know, we'd be the whipping boy over this issue, and we'd be painted in the worst possible light. And I did not appreciate that. I'm voting for this because of the merits of it. I think it's a good thing. But that goodwill that we have extended to the mayors, and I'm not beating up on Mr. Hayward himself, but on the 7th floor, the disrespect that we've been shown time and again is going to come back to bite them. And I think that's something that we can all agree on. But I'm going to give him a pass again tonight, but I'm going to go on record as supporting exactly what you had to say.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Okay. Dr. Wu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Let me start off by saying to anybody that might be watching tonight that you're watching democracy at its best. That we all here are voicing our opinions as we feel it. And the beauty of democracy is that we can disagree even vigorously. And when we leave here, we don't shoot each other. So I want to start off by commending each one of my fellow council members because I know they're coming from where they feel like they are. And we don't always agree, but we state what we feel, and then when we leave here, everything's fine and we move on.
Mr. Geralds.
Thank you, Mr. President. And council members and ladies and gentlemen, this is an excellent exercise. And as teachers take advantage of such opportunities, first of all, I want to begin by saying that this is our fault. When we abandoned the committee system, we denied ourselves the opportunity to properly vet questions and concerns that we have. Mr. Johnson has legitimate questions. Mr. Weiss has legitimate questions and concerns, and so does everyone else. But the individuals who can answer those questions are not here. So we can't get the answers we need to make the proper decision. And I will continue to urge us to go back to the committee system so that we will have the opportunity to raise the issues as we have done so tonight. That gives us the opportunity to have that exercise, to get the answers to the questions that we have, to get the information about the contracts and the arrangements that we need prior to having it come before us in a public setting for a decision. We need to go back to the committee system, and I will take every opportunity I get to remind this council that it was us who decided to abandon that process, thereby putting us in the position we sit in right now. So I want all of you to think about it. Because, and again, I'll say, you have legitimate concerns, as do I, but as I hear questions flying around the room and the people that we need to get that information from are not with us, whatever decision we make will still be our own. It'll have to be, in lieu of getting additional information. So I want you all to think how this process works. If we have an item, and in the committee system we had the opportunity to have people come before us, to do presentations, to answer our questions, and to help us make an intelligent decision. But I don't like sitting around asking questions and not getting answers. It doesn't lead to an intelligent conclusion. So in the future, when we get to our strategic planning session, that's something I want to keep in the foremost of your minds, because that will come up as a discussion, and we need to consider, if we want to continue as we are now, or if we want to provide the opportunity to re-provide or recreate that system so that we will have an opportunity to put things on the table and work it out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. I'm not disagreeing with you on going back to the committee system. I think that's a decision for council to make, and would welcome you making that argument. I'm not sure it would have helped in this situation. Here's the problem we've got with trying to sort out this deal. Is you've got two private parties. You've got PenAir wanting to enter into a lease purchase agreement with Mr. Bobby Switzer. Okay, so that's two private parties. They've gone to a quasi-government entity called the Downtown Improvement Board asking for some incentives, which DIB was willing to do, but DIB had its business model. In order for us to do this, then we need to get the city to forgive us. So there's so many layers of separation here, and I'm not sure that the committee system would have allowed us to have addressed that, brought to us at the 11th hour with scant details. we would still be where we are now. And again, delighted to support this deal tonight, but I'm just not happy the way that it came to us. Ms. Myers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I have some real reservations and concerns about how this came before council. And I just want to thank Councilwoman DeWeese for bringing these issues forward. And it really distresses me when I hear the types of comments made by the president. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and I want to commend you for sharing that with the rest of council and the public. I have reservations about how this whole thing has been handled. However, I am going to support it tonight because I believe that for a number of reasons. So even though I have a lot of concerns with the process, I will support it tonight, and I hope that I do think that we should go back to the committee system, and that's another conversation for another day. I hope that we can have that conversation soon.
Is that it? Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Asmar wants to.
Well, I'd like to go first, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I feel like I've got a gun held to my head tonight. If we vote against this, we're going to be framed, and it'll be spun tomorrow that we are against economic development, that we're against PenAir Federal moving down to downtown Pensacola, which can't be farther from the truth. It can't be. I'm saddened that the president was threatened if he didn't go along with this. It's such a late hour. It's such a late hour. They want to move 4 or 5 days from today. I feel like I'm having a gun held to my head, and I don't like that. I agree with what Ms. DeWeese says. I agree. I'm saddened by what President Hall said. I endured some bad press this week myself. There was something written about me about a dislike that I have for someone. Well, I want to remind everyone in the world that just 2 months ago I sat on the same side of the fence with this gentleman on an issue in District 3 concerning Montessori school. So it didn't seem to bother me 2 months ago, but here, since I opposed the taxpayers for giving this $80,000 loan, that I'm getting calls about, and people are stopping me in the street and saying, there's got to be another option. There's got to be another option than go to the taxpayers. I want to remind everyone that I was on the same side of the fence with this individual, and I take offense that it's spun the way it is, but that's what we have to endure here as a city councilman. To hear my president was threatened just saddens me. That, to rule, someone reminded me of how Julius Caesar ruled, and I'm just very saddened by that, to have to make a decision here in this short window. This was not handled right. This was not handled properly. We were disrespected. This city council was disrespected. We'll be beat up tomorrow and wherever it will be about we're an embarrassment. But we have to ask these questions. We have to ask the questions that we have. It's sad that we can't seem to get the respect that I think some of us deserve. I'm proud of this council tonight that we've asked these questions. It's talked about that it was mentioned tonight by someone that, well, the improvements will happen. Well, the current owner has the ability to make improvements to this property and will continue to pay ad valorem taxes. But this isn't a personal thing with me. I want to remind everyone of that we have a current owner that has the ability to make these improvements and will lease this building. If this did not happen, he will not board this building up and go away. So this building will be leased. It will be brought up to where it needs to be. So, this another thing that I think is just not totally accurate, that the building would have improvements made, but this has been handled very poorly. I've endured many comments this week that offended me, that I didn't vote as I was told, that this is a personal issue, and all these things that just aren't true. But I'm very sad. I'm going to vote for this tonight because if I don't, it'll appear that we're standing in the way of economic development. And ladies and gentlemen, there can't be anything farther than the truth. Everyone up here welcomes and wants PenAir Federal. And if this issue wasn't brought before us, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. If this would have been worked out between two private corporations, individuals, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We were asked to forgive a loan on the backs of our taxpayers. Let's make that very, very clear. If this would have not come before us, we would not be having this discussion. And I wish that would have been the case. Thank you very much.
Mr. Asmar.
Mr. President, council members, the mayor's office certainly apologize for any misunderstanding, but definitely disagrees with the statement of facts that have been presented here tonight. And for the record, and we do so respectfully, for the record, the DIB did not adopt the policy until April 3rd. You had a council meeting on April 9th. It was too soon for us to, there was not enough time for us to even get it on the agenda because the agenda was already out. Secondly, so we had to take it to this week, and that was the only time. Between the 3rd and Thursday of last week, DIB was working out its term sheet with PenAir, and PenAir, out of respect for their private deliberations, did not go to their board meeting until late Thursday night. That was Thursday night, and so we were underneath a non-disclosure out of respect for the private enterprise in their board meeting. And so it wasn't until Friday that the mayor's office was able to even mention PenAir. And we did so, we didn't actually have permission until actually Saturday. And so Saturday, and I'm talking last Saturday. And so when the information was being developed in order for us to provide you additional backup materials, the mayor's office did not ask DIB not to attend on Monday. We did not do that. In fact, we encouraged them to attend, but unfortunately the DIB representatives were not available. There was a closing, and I know the chairman of the parking committee was unavailable, and of course, as you already heard, the chairman of the executive director of the DIB was in St. Louis. So we apologize for that, but that was not intentional on the mayor's office. And as of today, I asked for the term sheet while Mr. Kimbrough was in St. Louis on Tuesday and Wednesday. He provided that to me by and through their attorney. I asked him this morning if I was able to disclose it to you publicly. He granted that to me, and as soon as he did, it was sent out to you. And so I want to make sure that the public in general understand that we have to act quickly for economic development opportunities. The mayor's office did in the confounds of the marketplace. It certainly wasn't out of disrespect to each or any one of you. We understand your concern, and we try to address it as quickly as we can. And I sincerely apologize for any misunderstanding.
Thank you.
Economic development is a very complex interweaving
Sure,
of
and I know there's
resources.
confidentiality and
Right.
all this, but
And
you know
so-
what? One thing. Excuse me for a second, and I'd like to make a point. And I speak to people outside of Pensacola, and they talk about economic development efforts. The city, the county, the Chamber of Commerce, the university, their power company, all together go arm in arm and try to work together in these economic development exercises. And I just hope that as we move forward that we've learned something from this. I hope that as we move forward with developing, say, the Escambia treating site, the Superfund site, I know that at the Chamber there's some great expertise about developing super site. I hope that we include them in all conversations, and I'm going to say it loud. I hope that we include the chamber in all these conversations and other stakeholders in this community, and together we go and we try to achieve a good economic development for this community. I just want all included, and what I'm hearing in the community is not everyone's included, and there's some comments, some whispering going on about it, and it concerns me gravely. I appreciate you going and checking with the chamber. I appreciate you trying to make that call to that property owner. Again, this lengthy discussion we would have had might not have never happened if the two parties could have got together and worked this out. And I just want to make everybody aware of that. And I'm glad PenAir Federal's coming to downtown. Let me say that loud and clear also.
I am too, and I thank you, sir, and if I could just respond very, very briefly, Mr. Townsend, I promise.
Well, you know, we've spent a lot of time on this issue now. I don't want to.
Well, I just want to make certain that you clearly understand that I want this council to realize a lot of people were sprinting, and the DIB, for all throwing it under the bus that I heard on several occasions in this week, they were the ones who responded by having 2 special called things and by doing the homework. And if the information was not passed forward to you in an effective manner, we need to get a system to where your staff, your administration, and the chamber staff and administration are monitoring each other's things. And I mean, private citizens shouldn't know more than the elected officials. Thank you
so much. But we appreciate you.
Mr. Sansing, you've already spoken to this. If there's no objection from any member of council, I'll ask that they allow me to waive the rules and allow you to speak again, but I would like for you to do it for a minute and a half.
It's a minute. You said a minute and a half. Gary Sansing, 1517 East Jackson. You know what surprises me? All of what you said, starting from DeWeese to John Gerald, what was said, the threats, even Larry, you got a gun at your head. I'm trying to believe that. And then I listen to the mayor's office. And then I'm thinking, what would your staff say? Whenever someone puts a gun, no, I ain't. Think about this. Whenever there's, I mean, I apologize. I know absolutely nothing about this issue, but when something like this comes up suddenly at 11 o'clock hour, I'm questioning it. Believe me, I haven't even had time to keep my own business taken care of, but this was something that I was suspect of. And then when I listened to you, yes, something's going on here. Just my suspicion. And it works out a lot of times.
Okay.
Thank you for your minute.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, I see no other comments. We've got a motion before us. Please vote. And that passes 7-1.